That means we are closing out finally the very active tropical season. Hurricane season comes to a close in about 2 days. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Shay Gibson. And Shay's going to kind of give us, instead of a tropical forecast, he's going to kind of give us a review of what we've seen so far here in the United States.
All right. Thank you very much, Scotty. Let me go ahead and start real quick by sharing screen. Make sure you give me a cue when you see it. All right. Good deal. So we are winding down to the end of the hurricane season, which ends on November the 30th officially. And we can see here it's where the activity really scales down at the end of the month. And then as we get into the cooler months and the Atlantic waters cool all the way around, we see less and less activity, maybe a stray subtropical storm towards the end. But this year looks like we're going to finish out fairly quiet. The NHC does have nothing on its radar for the next 5 days. So we look good to go as we transition towards the end of the season. Upper shear is pretty heavy from west to east across the United States. We're seeing a succession of cold fronts and a lot of air, a lot of traffic moving across. That's at 500 millibars. We go a little higher up in the atmosphere, and we see even stronger winds. So that's another further deterrent between 18,000 feet and 36,000 feet. That's not going to allow any kind of tropical development to form. So I've got about 2.5 minutes left to wrap this up. Chris doesn't seem to think I can do it. So real quick, looking at the CDC, looks like nothing is on radar from them. Or I'm sorry, the CPC, nothing on radar from them as far as any forecast tropical activity or any areas of concern at this moment. Looking over the tracks for 2018, this is the preliminary report. It's not final. Nothing's going to be final till the end of the season. Then we're not going to even get information on some of these storms till possibly January. We had 15 storms this year, named storms. Last one was Oscar, which ended October the 31st on Halloween. The two most notable ones that we had this year, the two major hurricanes in the Atlantic Basin, which were Florence and Michael, both of them which made landfall along the United States, one as a major hurricane, one as a minimal category 1. We take a quick look at, the tracks here you'll see in purple is Florence, and you can see where it originated from, way over here off of the coast of Africa. The other one, Michael, originating here in the Western Caribbean and heading north across the Gulf of Mexico and right into the panhandle of Florida. Florence, this is the satellite imagery from HERDAT, and we see the succession of where it began on September the 7th and all the way through to where it made landfall is a category 1 90-mile-an-hour hurricane over near Wilmington, North Carolina. So you can see the satellite imagery there of what it looked like when it came to shore. But even out here on September the 7th, this was a category 4 storm at 140-mile-per-hour winds. So the Carolinas really got a break on the system as it made landfall. The only problem was it was a major rainmaker. It was the first major hurricane in the Atlantic season, was a category 4. Like I said, at one point of the Atlantic with 140-mile-per-hour winds. On September the 14th, Florence made landfall just south of Wrightsville Beach, North Carolina, with sustained winds at 90 miles per hour, central pressure at 958 millibars. The surge was estimated at being near 5 to 6 feet, but driving onshore winds piled up waters well inland of OBX and Cape Fear areas. Rainfall totals surrounded to 24 to 36 inches, with severe long-lasting flooding through South Carolina, North Carolina for weeks after the storm had passed, amounting to roughly 7.8 trillion gallons of water for North Carolina, 2.2 trillion for South Carolina. Due to slow progress of the storm, the watershed flooding caused rivers to crest to record numbers, including the PD River near Ansonville, North Carolina, at 35.6 feet. That's 2 feet above the 1945 record. Cape Fear River at 61.4 feet near Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is about 35 feet above flood stage. That was pretty significant. Also, records broken in South Carolina PD at 46.51 feet near Cheraw, 22.1 feet near the Waccamaw River at Conway, breaking the Matthew record of 19.1 feet. So other records were broken. We're still waiting for final analysis. Some of the analysis won't come out until probably January from the NHC when they do final accounts of these storms. Fatalities as of now, up to 56 people, with 42 in North Carolina, 9 in South Carolina, 3 in Virginia, and 2 in Florida from rip currents and drownings, along with 13 rescues down there. So widespread effects from that. You can see the flooding here. That was a major factor for most of this. I mean, we had, like I said, 24 to 36 inches of rain with a very slow-moving storm that went west and then north, and it just dropped a lot of rainfall, caused problems all the way up into the northeast. Okay, let's take a look at another one of the notable pictures. Some of the fish here in North Carolina left over from ponding over interstates and highways. Let's see, North Carolina Public Safety Department has, it just has some stats here. Storm-related fatalities is up to 43, actually, instead of 42. And then you can see how many people they rescued and evacuated as well. So that was a pretty significant storm for the southeast region. Taking a look at Michael, 2018, if we go back and look at the tracks, let me go back and look at the tracks here, if I can find it. There we go. Michael originated here just to the east of the Yucatan Peninsula, headed north across the Gulf of Mexico, and slammed into the panhandle of Florida. It slowly aggregated as it went north and rapidly intensified as it moved into a more conducive environment. And Michael was a strong Category 4 hurricane. Let me get the pictures up here. You can see where it began down here near the Yucatan and then headed to the north as it made landfall. Category 4 winds, 155 mile per hour. And that was on October the 10th at Mexico Beach City, Florida, with a storm surge estimated over 14 feet for some areas. It was the third most intense hurricane to make landfall based on pressure alone at 919 millibars. That'd be Labor Day storm being the first in 1939 at 892, Camille being second at 900 millibars. This was the strongest ever for the Florida Panhandle and the fourth strongest in the U.S. for wind speeds. Death toll is reported at 60 as of now, including 15 deaths in portions of Central America where it originated due to heavy rains and flooding. So, you know, you can see the damages here. It just damaged land to a point where zoning will likely have to redefine property lines. I mean, estimated damages are roughly $14.58 billion for the U.S. and $100 million in Central America. So just the sheer amount of damages there is unreal. And I think I'm getting hailed by James now, but just to wrap it up real quick, this is the tracks right here for 2018, and I'll end it right there as a wrap for 2018 season as we head to the end at November 30th. Back to you, Scotty.